The solar system is the gravitationally bound system of the Sun and the objects that orbit it. The Sun is the star at the center of the solar system. It is a nearly perfect ball of hot plasma. Its diameter is about 13,92,768 kilometers. That is 109 times that of Earth. Its mass is about 3,30,000 times that of Earth, and it accounts for about 99.86% of the total mass of the solar system. Roughly 3/4 of the Sun's mass consists of hydrogen, 73% of hydrogen and 25% of helium. The rest with much smaller quantities of heavier elements including oxygen, carbon, neon and iron. It formed approximately 4.6 billion years ago from the gravitational collapse of matter within a region of a large molecular cloud. Most of this matter gathered in the center, whereas the rest flattened into an orbiting disk that became the solar system. The central mass became so hot and dense that it eventually initiated nuclear fusion in its core. The Sun's core fuses about 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium every second. It is by far the most important source of energy for life on Earth. Our solar system is a part of Milky Way galaxy. Our solar system is also rotating around the center of galaxy at a speed around 224 km per second. It will take 25 crore years to complete one rotation in the galaxy. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun and also is the smallest planet in the solar system. It was formed approximately 4,503 million years ago. Mercury is an average distance of 58 million kilometers away from the Sun. From this distance, it takes sunlight 3.2 minutes to travel from the Sun to Mercury. Mercury has the most eccentric orbit of all the planets in the solar system, with its distance from the Sun ranging from 46 million to 70 million kilometers. Mercury is orbiting around the Sun at an average speed around 47.36 km per second. It takes 87.969 Earth days to complete an orbit around the Sun. It is the shortest of all the Sun's planets. Mercury takes 58 days to complete one rotation on its own axis. Mercury is named after the Roman god Mercurius, god of commerce. Mercury is one of the 4 terrestrial planets in the solar system and has a rocky body like Earth, with an equatorial diameter of 4,878 kilometers. Mercury consists of approximately 70% metallic and 30% silicate material. The surface temperature of Mercury ranges from -173 degrees Celsius to 427 degrees Celsius. Also, it doesn't have any natural satellite. Mercury's surface is similar in appearance to that of the Moon. Venus is the second planet from the Sun. It formed approximately 4,503 million years ago. Venus is an average distance of 108 million kilometers away from Sun. From this distance, it takes sunlight 6.1 minutes to travel from the Sun to Venus. Since Venus travels in an elliptical orbit around the Sun, its distance from the Sun varies from 107.476 million kilometers to 108.942 million kilometers. Venus is orbiting around the Sun at an average speed around 35.02 km per second. It takes 224.7 Earth days to complete an orbit around the Sun. Venus takes longer time to rotate around its axis than any other planet in the solar system, and Venus rotates in the opposite direction of all other planets except Uranus. This means the Sun rises in the west and sets in the east. Venus takes 241 Earth days to rotate in its own axis. Venus is 107.61 million kilometers away from Earth. It is named after the Roman goddess of love and beauty. Venus is one of the 4 terrestrial planets in the solar system, meaning that it has a rocky body like Earth. It is similar to Earth in size and mass, and is often described as Earth's sister planet. The diameter of Venus is 12,103.6 km, only 638.4 km less than Earth's, and its mass is 81.5% of Earth. Even though Mercury is closer to the Sun, Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system, with a mean temperature of 464 degrees Celsius, because it has more dense atmosphere. Atmosphere of Venus is 100 times denser than our planet's. Venus's atmosphere consists about 96.5% of carbon dioxide and 3.5% of nitrogen. Like Mercury, Venus also does not have any natural satellite. Earth is the third planet from the Sun and the only astronomical object that supports life. It formed approximately 4,454 million years ago. Earth is in an average distance of 147.1 million kilometers away from Sun. From this distance, it takes sunlight 8.3 minutes to travel from the Sun to Earth. Since Earth travels in an elliptical orbit around the Sun, its distance from Sun varies from 147 million kilometers to 152 million kilometers. Earth is orbiting around the Sun at an average speed around 29.78 km per second. It takes 365.25 Earth days to complete an orbit around the Sun. Earth takes 24 hours to complete a rotation around its own axis. Earth is also one of the 4 terrestrial planets in the solar system. Earth is the densest planet in the solar system and the largest and most massive of the 4 terrestrial planets. The diameter of Earth is 12,742 kilometers. 29.2% of Earth's surface is land consisting of continents and islands. The remaining 70.8% is covered with water. Much of Earth's polar region is covered in ice. Earth's atmosphere consists mostly of nitrogen and oxygen. Earth have one natural satellite, Moon. The Moon is relatively large, terrestrial planet-like natural satellite with a diameter about 1/4 of Earth's. Moon takes 27.338 days to orbit around the Earth and approximately 27 days to rotate on its own axis. The average diameter of Moon is 3,474 kilometers. The distance from Earth to the Moon is about 3,84,400 kilometers. Mars is the 4th planet from the Sun and the 2nd smallest planet in the solar system, being larger than only Mercury. It formed approximately 4,603 million years ago. Mars is in an average distance of 231.12 million kilometers away from Sun. From this distance, it takes sunlight 12 minutes and 42 seconds to travel from the Sun to Mars. Since Mars travels in an elliptical orbit around the Sun, its distance from the Sun varies from 206.700 million kilometers to 249.200 million kilometers. Mars is orbiting around the Sun at an average speed around 24 km per second. It takes 687 Earth days to complete an orbit around the Sun. Mars takes 24 days to complete a rotation around its own axis. Mars is a terrestrial planet with a thin atmosphere. The diameter of Mars is 6,779 km. Mars is approximately half the diameter of Earth, with a surface area only slightly less than the total area of Earth's dry land. Mars carries the name of the Roman god of war and is often referred to as the Red Planet. The latter refers to the effect of the iron oxide prevalent on Mars' surface, which gives it a reddish appearance. The atmosphere of Mars consists of about 96% of carbon dioxide, 1.93% argon, and 1.89% nitrogen, along with traces of oxygen and water. The atmosphere is quite dusty. Mars has 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos, which are small and irregularly shaped. Asteroid belt is a torus-shaped region in the solar system, located roughly between the orbits of the planets Jupiter and Mars. It contains a great many solid, irregularly shaped bodies of many sizes, but much smaller than planets, called asteroids or minor planets, mainly composed of rock, metal and ice. It lies between 2.2 to 3.2 astronomical unit away from Sun. Width of asteroid belt is nearly 147.1 million km. Asteroid belt also separates terrestrial planets from Jovian planets. Jupiter is the 5th planet from the Sun and the largest in the solar system. It is a gas giant with a mass more than 2.5 times that of all the other planets in the solar system combined. Jupiter is formed approximately 4,603 million years ago. Jupiter is in an average distance of 746.85 million kilometers away from Sun. From this distance, it takes sunlight 43 minutes to travel from the Sun to Jupiter. Since Jupiter travels in an elliptical orbit around the Sun, its distance from the Sun varies from 741 million km to 817 million km. Jupiter is orbiting around the Sun at an average speed around 12.6 km per second, and it takes 12 years to complete an orbit around the Sun. Jupiter takes 9 hours 55 minutes for one rotation in its own axis. It is the fastest among the planets. Jupiter is one of the 4 Jovian planets in the solar system. Jupiter is a gas giant, biggest planet in the solar system, with an equatorial diameter of 1,39,820 km. Jupiter is primarily composed of hydrogen and helium. Jupiter's upper atmosphere is about 90% hydrogen and 10% helium by volume. Since helium atoms are more massive than hydrogen molecules, Jupiter's atmosphere is approximately 75% hydrogen and 24% helium by mass, with the remaining 1% consisting of other elements like methane, water vapor, ammonia, and silicon-based compounds. Jupiter was named after the Roman god Jupiter, the king of the gods. It likely has a rocky core of heavier elements, but like the other giant planets, Jupiter lacks a well-defined solid surface. The ongoing contraction of its interior generates generates heat greater than the amount received from the Sun. Surrounding Jupiter is a faint planetary ring system and a powerful magnetosphere. Jupiter's magnetic tail is nearly 800 million kilometers long, covering the entire distance to Saturn's orbit. Jupiter has 18 non-moons and possibly many more. Saturn is the sixth planet from the Sun and the second largest in the solar system. It is a gas giant. Saturn is formed approximately 4,503 million years ago. Saturn is in an average distance of 1,481.2 million kilometers away from Sun. From this distance, it takes sunlight 85.08 minutes to travel from the Sun to Saturn. Since Saturn travels in an elliptical orbit around the Sun, its distance from the Sun varies from 1,357 million kilometers to 1,506 million kilometers. Saturn is orbiting around the Sun at an average speed around 10.18 km per second, and it takes 29.5 years to complete an orbit around the Sun. Saturn takes 10.5 hours for one rotation in its own axis. Saturn is one of the four Jovian planets in the solar system. Saturn is the gas giant, second largest in the solar system, with an equatorial diameter of 1,16,460 km. It is 9.5 times larger than Earth. Saturn's interior is most likely composed of a core of iron, nickel, and rock. Its core is surrounded by a deep layer of outer atmosphere containing 96.3% molecular hydrogen and 3.25% helium by volume. Saturn is named after the Roman god of wealth and agriculture. The planet's most notable feature is its prominent ring system, which is composed mainly of ice particles, with a smaller amount of rocky debris and dust. Saturn has 9 full rings and 3 half rings. At least 83 moons are known to orbit Saturn, of which 53 are officially named. Uranus is the 7th planet from the Sun and the 3rd largest in the solar system. It is an ice giant. Uranus is formed approximately 4,503 million years ago. Uranus is in an average distance of 2,949.5 million kilometers away from Sun. From this distance, it takes sunlight 160 minutes to travel from the Sun to Uranus. Since Uranus travels in an elliptical orbit around the Sun, its distance from Sun varies from 2,500 million kilometers to 3000 million kilometers. Uranus is orbiting around the Sun at an average speed around 7.11 km per second. And it takes 84 years to complete an orbit around the Sun. Uranus takes 17 hours for one rotation in its own axis. It is the third largest planet in the solar system. Uranus is one of the 4 Jovian planets in the solar system. Uranus is the largest ice giant with diameter of 15,724 km. Uranus have bulk chemical compositions. Uranus's atmosphere is similar to Jupiter's and Saturn's in its primary composition of hydrogen and helium. But it contains more ice forms such as water, ammonia, and methane, along with traces of other hydrocarbons. It has the coldest planetary atmosphere in the solar system, with a minimum temperature of -224 degrees Celsius. Its name is a reference to the Greek god of the sky, Uranus, who according to Greek mythology was grandfather of Zeus, Jupiter. Like the other giant planets, Uranus also has a ring system and a magnetosphere. Uranus have numerous moons. The Uranian system has a unique configuration because its axis of rotation is tilted sideways, and Uranus rotates on clockwise direction on its own axis and orbiting around the Sun in anti-clockwise direction. Uranus has 27 non-natural satellites. Neptune is the 8th and last planet from the Sun and the 4th largest planet in the solar system and 3rd largest in mass. It is an ice giant. Neptune is formed approximately 4,503 million years ago. Neptune is in an average distance of 4,474.7 million kilometers away from Sun. From this distance, it takes sunlight 255 minutes to travel from Sun to Neptune. Since Neptune also travels in an elliptical orbit around the Sun, its distance from the Sun varies from 4,460 million km to 4,540 million km. Neptune is orbiting around the Sun at an average speed around 5.50 km per second, and it takes 165 years to complete an orbit around the Sun. Neptune takes 16 hours for one rotation in its own axis. Neptune is one of the ice giants. It's the 4th largest planet in the solar system with diameter of 49,244 kilometers. Like Jupiter and Saturn, Neptune's atmosphere is composed primarily of hydrogen and helium, along with traces of hydrocarbons and possibly nitrogen, though it contains a higher proportion of ices such as water, ammonia and methane. Neptune's outer atmosphere is one of the coldest places in the solar system, Neptune is named after the Roman god of sea. Neptune has a faint and fragmented ring system. Neptune has 14 non-natural satellites. Kuiper belt. The Kuiper belt is considered as the border of our solar system, which lies beyond Neptune's orbit, which contains objects composed mostly of ice and rock. Kuiper belt is spherical in shape. It is similar to asteroid belt, but far larger, extending from Neptune's orbit at 4,400 million km to 14,900 million km. Pluto is also a part of this Kuiper belt.